7 p.m. I'm going to call to order the Plainfield Agriculture Commission's regular meeting for June 28, 2023. Thank you, public, who have joined us tonight. Sherry Carmen is going to be doing roll call in our minutes. Everybody should have had an opportunity to read the minutes for our meeting on May 24th, 2023. There is a correction that needs to be made under old business, small group updates, bullet item number 6. The sentence will be corrected to read, Troop 73 went hiking and discovered 7 cellar holes, 2 barn foundations, and Locks Meadow Cemetery. So when someone makes a motion, I need you to make it that revision, please.
So
Okay? We have a motion to accept the minutes with that revision. Thank you, Mike. Is there any further? You can't, even though you showed up. Are there any further changes or revisions to the May 24th minutes? Hearing none, all members approve by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes will carry. So, to remind our public, we start some meetings and afterwards we have some sort of community outreach event. So tonight's meeting is intentionally held as brief so that we can move into our community outreach. So under our old business, our community outreach tonight is going to be Eat the Weeds, Foraging 101. Amelia South is of Black Sun Farm. She is a practicing herbalist and organic farmer operating her farm out of Killingly. She loves teaching people how to live off the land and heal themselves with the gifts of nature. So immediately following this meeting, she will take over. Super quick, is there any agricultural community events happening that we need to make sure that the public is aware of? This is a time in our meeting where we offer events that have happened in the past month or events that are happening in the future. So just to remind everybody, since I'm not hearing anything, the Northeast Connecticut farmers markets have fully become operational, and so all of their markets are up and running, and the Plainfield market is on Tuesdays, so it was yesterday, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the ECC building. Hearing no other community.
Isn't it another day also?
They do have, here I can pull that up if you want. It is 4 markets that take place. Do you have it right there?
The
Plainfield one is on Tuesday.
There's Brooklyn, Killingly, and Putnam.
So just to remind everybody, the Plainfield Agriculture Commission does not run the Plainfield Farmers Market that takes place. It is run by the Northeast Connecticut Farmers Market. So there's one in Brooklyn, one in Putnam, and one in Killingly. Check out our Facebook page because we do have a post that links to them if you want to go to the other ones. Any new business? Any public comment before we close our meeting so that we can hear all about eating outside and foraging? Our next, the Plainfield Agriculture Commission is comprised of farmers, so we take the month of July off. So that we can all be out in our gardens and on our farms. So our next regular meeting will be Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned at 7:04 p.m. Excellent. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Amelia South to our group. So if you'd like to move or you want to stay right there.
Oh, I don't care. We're gonna go outside.
All right, super.
Anybody wants to learn anything, we're learning outside. You can learn a little bit here. I brought some stuff. This is like, I can show you. Oh God, I think a bug got into this. I'm sorry. This is a reishi mushroom, just FYI. This came off of a hemlock tree. So this, I got this particular one I think I got up at Cat Hollow. And there was a bunch of dead ones. It's hard as a rock right now. This is a medicinal mushroom. I'm an herbalist, so I make all kinds of herbal medicines and things. Well, All right, so legally speaking, I'm not supposed to say herbal medicine. Herbal remedies. Don't fire me, don't report me to the government. Anyway, but reishi is one of my favorite medicinal mushrooms. Anytime I find it fresh, I tincture it fresh. I do a double extraction, which is with mushrooms are different than other like plants. Look, I guarantee you, we're probably not going to find any mushrooms up there, unless it's going to be just like a yard. There's probably not any real good mushrooms or anything up there, but just a quick basic 101 on mushrooms. What you see, so like this that you see sticking out of the tree, or if you see the mushroom itself sticking out of the ground, that's called the fruiting body, okay? And then underneath that is mycelium. So basically, if you think of a mushroom like a tree, the part that you see above the ground is the fruiting body, and then underneath the roots is the mycelium. So basically, the most medicinal part, the strongest medicinal part, is going to be the fruiting body that's above the ground. Because believe it or not, and this is something that's interesting, just a little tidbit, human beings are, like, evolutionarily wise, related more closely to mushrooms than plants. Like far back along the line and everything. So just like when you go out in the sun and you're in the sun, you're absorbing the sun, your body makes vitamin D. Mushrooms make vitamin D when they're in the sun. So I think that's really cool. If you forage some mushrooms, leave them out in the sun for like an hour or two, and they actually make more vitamin D before you make them into medicine, whether you're cooking them or drying them or whatever it is you're doing. So I do that whenever I can. If it's a sunny enough day. If it's not, it is what it is. It's still definitely got the medicinal qualities in it. But reishi in particular, this is Ganoderma suge, grows on Suge canadensis, which is the native hemlock tree. If you know what a hemlock tree looks like, this grows on hemlocks. And the one that you'll read about in books is Ganoderma lucidum, which it grows in Japan and China out there. But this basically has all the same medicinal constituents in it. So I work with this one because I can find this one. I don't go to Japan. So anyway, this one works the same way. And what reishi does is it boosts your immune system. It boosts your immune system. It helps your body deal with allergies. So if you've got bad seasonal allergies, it's a tonic kind of thing. You take it every day, and over time, your body develops like a stronger immune response. You're able to deal with sickness and stuff more easily. And this little one, this is the only other display. This is just an artist's conch. There's a specific kind of little mushroom that grows like off the sides of trees. This is a teeny weeny one. I should have brought my bigger ones. I forgot. I have some nice big ones, but all this is when you get it fresh and it's soft underneath, you can draw on it, and the artwork that you draw, whatever artwork you draw, will stay that way. Like this mushroom, you can feel it. If you want to pass that around, go for it. It's hard as a rock. It'll stay that way. There have been artists' conchs mushrooms found with artwork that's over 200-300 years old, because it just stays there forever. It's like a perpetual, forever canvas.
What do those grow on?
What's that?
What will that grow on?
I've seen them on a couple different trees. So I don't want to say, like reishi very specifically will only really grow on hemlock. Those I've seen them on. I don't know if the last one was a hemlock. What did I find it on? Honestly, I was so excited that I found a really big one. I didn't even care what tree it was on because I was like, oh my god, it's freaking huge. So I think it was a hardwood. I want to say it was a hardwood. Same as like if you see a hoof mushroom, but it's hard for me to talk too much about mushrooms without like showing you guys mushrooms. And I always tell people, like when I take people on a foraging walk, especially if we go through the woods, maybe we'll find a mushroom. Like if I like to go, I guess I kind of have a service where I will go to your property and take you around your property, your yard, your woods, whatever it is, and I'll show you what's growing out right outside your back door, so you can see. All right, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, because a lot of people, like, you'll come to my group class and you're thinking in your head while you're with me, I'm going to remember all this stuff, and no, you're not. You're not going to remember all this stuff. Whereas if you're home and you're at your house, you can say, oh, I remember Amelia said this thing was right here. I remember what that is. You know what I mean? So that's like, I'm guessing I'm the only person that does that around here. Just but I like doing the group classes too. So anyway, let's get our butts outside because that's where everybody needs to be.
That's the only reason? I was about to say it was pouring at my house, but it wasn't raining.
There's some, I'm sure there's some Major over here probably, but this is Plantago lanceolata, which is plantain, not like the banana plantain. This is lance leaf, longleaf plantain. And plantain is the #1, this is like my first herb. This is the one herb I make sure everybody knows, okay?
I thought they had the, wider leaves, the real wide.
This is lanceolata, you're thinking of Major.
Right here.
Yep,
Amelia.
Yep. You got one? Sweet, perfect.
Just a little one.
Yeah. So there's a little, yeah. I think it, wait, hang on, where is it? Yeah, you got it, good, perfect. That's Major. There's also Plantago rugelii, which my yard is full of, which is the native version. These both came over from Europe. They call this white man's footprint because it likes to grow in any of the pathways that are really stomped down a lot. You'll find these in your driveway. You'll find these any place there's like a lot of stomped down land or the ground, the soil is really crappy and sandy.
It's opportunistic.
Basically, yeah. Well,
Yes.
just like a dandelion.
Yes.
But this is the #1 plant. I want everybody, every child, like both of my kids, I taught them to recognize this as soon as they could walk. And the reason why was demonstrated to me yesterday. You probably can't even tell. It's all swollen now because I stepped on a bee. I stepped on a bee yesterday, and it sucked because I got stung. Yeah, if you get stung by a bee or a wasp, if you get any kind of bug bite, if you get a cut, like you step on something, you cut yourself, any kind of injury like that, you look around, find the nearest plantain, because it's all over the place, especially around here, you're gonna find plantain. Find a piece of plantain, stick it in your mouth, chew it up, and slap it on that injury. Stick it on the injury, stick it on the bug bite. It stops your bug bites from itching. It stops your wasp or your bee sting from hurting. It helps heal cuts. So I make an infused oil with it and turn that into a salve. The only difference between an oil and a salve, just FYI, is one's got beeswax in it, one doesn't. So that's your medicinal thing. It's also edible. It tastes better in early spring, but it's not like a super tasty thing. It's just like when you're dying for something green because it's March and you haven't seen anything green in forever, you see plantain come out, oh yeah, I can eat that, that's fine, I'll put some of that in my eggs or something. The other thing, while we're out here, because I'm still near the beginning, rule #1 of foraging, don't eat it if you don't recognize what it is. If you're not positive what it is, don't eat it, don't put it in your mouth, any of that. Rule number 2, don't ever forage anything within 20 feet of a road, because you don't want to eat, gasoline and car fumes and all the other garbage. This is fun. Yay. All right. That whatever the plants have been soaking up from being that close to the road. So I guess we can walk around a little bit more. Anyway, plantain is one of my favorites. Okay, so it is 5. All right, so this is white pine. I'm just checking the needles. When you see 5 needles in a bunch, it's white pine. White pine is edible. All right, it doesn't care. I talk to trees. I'm sorry. You can ignore me if you want. It's fine. I talk to trees. So you can take a piece off of this and chew on the needles. These are edible. A lot of people talk about pine needle tea because pine needle tea is super duper high in vitamin C. I like the flavor. Honestly, it tastes like Christmas. When it gets the fresh growth, it's a little past fresh growth time right now. But you can chew it. You can chew it up and spit it out. It doesn't matter. You can swallow it. It's not going to hurt you. My favorite thing to do with this is chop them up take some needles, chop them up really small, and I make like sugar cookies with them. They taste very Christmassy. I don't use wheat, so I use almond flour to make my sugar cookies. And I'm sorry, I can't even see anything anymore. I gave up on that, I guess. But they are edible. They're medicinal. They're very, very high in vitamin C. Pine pollen. I'm not going to go too deeply into this because there are children present, but pine pollen is the highest natural source of testosterone in the plant kingdom. So if anybody needs a
Don't need
testosterone
any.
boost.
Teenage boys would be nice.
Yeah, they don't
Teenage
need
boys don't need that. But women have testosterone too. That's, you know, women have testosterone just like estrogen and estrogen, and men have testosterone and estrogen. So, but if you know any men over the age of like 40 or 50 that need a little help, look into pine pollen because it works. It's awesome. This is a dandelion right here. I mean, obviously it's been cut down, but dandelions, if you guys don't know, all parts of the dandelion are edible and medicinal. So the leaves, you want to eat the leaves in early spring before the plant flowers, because otherwise, after the plant flowers, they tend to get really bitter. But you can they're medicinally speaking, the dandelion leaves are like a kidney tonic. They help clear your kidneys out. Once it flowers, the flowers are absolutely delicious. If you've never eaten a dandelion flower, please eat a dandelion flower. The petals, like I like to just pick it up by the calyx and use my teeth to pick the yellow parts out, the yellow petals out. It's delicious. But you can also like dip them in egg wash and a breading and fry them. You can make patties, yeah.
A friend of mine came and picked all our dandelions out of our pastures and made us tea.
Is dandelion tea?
Dandelion tea.
Okay, with the flowers. Yeah, I did a workshop last year. I taught people how to make.
Maybe it was a step before that.
I did a dandelion wine making workshop last year, so that was fun. But yeah, dandelion wine is delicious. So if you've never had it, it's worth making if you've got a good spot. But and dandelion roots are number one, medicinally they help cleanse your liver, so they're a liver support herb. My favorite thing to do, you want to harvest the roots in the fall when they're like the plant is dying down and the rest of it's putting all its energy into the root, and the roots taste a little sweeter because all year round it's medicinal and it's bitter, and bitters are actually really good for your digestion. So the bitter flavor of the roots, you can make what is called bitters, which is where you tincture that with a couple of other herbs, and it'll help get your support going. But the fun thing to do with dandelion root is dig them up in the fall, wash them off, chop them up, stick them in your oven at like 350 for about anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how thick the pieces are. So you roast the dandelion root. While it's roasting, your kitchen is going to smell like chocolate because it completely changes the flavor. It's like a chocolatey coffee type flavor. Dandelion root is a commonly used coffee substitute. It tastes very similar to coffee. It doesn't have caffeine in it, but it tastes like a chocolatey kind of coffee. My favorite way to have it is with like I do the roasting, and then I make the tea, make a really strong tea, like let it sit for 5-10 minutes at least. And I put a little tiny bit of stevia and a little bit of butter in it. And it tastes like a mocha latte. It's freaking delicious. But that helps support your liver, it gets your enzymes flowing. I have one usually every night. It's probably too late to do it tonight, but I usually have a cup of dandelion tea before I go to bed. Because you want liver support stuff is best done at night, medicinally speaking, because your liver is awake at night. Your liver wakes up at night, in the middle of the night. As long as you're a day walker, like, you know, like us. So let's see, what else is over here?
It's good.
Oh crap. Oh yeah, there's a ton of plantain right here. Look at all that plantago.
Amelia, what was the olive plant called? The olive?
Oh,
Autumn olive. Talk about, you said it inside, we won't remember anything. What did we remember?
Olive, what?
Yeah. See, that's why I said if I do private walks if you guys need it. I'm not going to be able to see jack squat, but I'm sorry. Oh, we got some. Oh wow, very nice. Hi baby. I know you're right next to this. So this is pine resin. Pine resin is different than pine sap. Don't touch me. That poison ivy. So pine sap, like if you cut a branch and you get the sap flowing out of it, that is basically like tree blood. That's what the nutrients go up and down with, okay? Pine resin, which is what this is basically like a Band-Aid. So like somebody cut a branch off and the tree made itself a scab for a Band-Aid kind of thing to fill its wound. This is amazing. You can make a salve or something with this, and it's amazing medicine. It's basically like super glue for closing up your wounds, and it's antibacterial, and it's healing. It's fantastic stuff. I actually kind of want to take some of this home, because this is a nice.
So could you like cut the bark and make a Band-Aid?
I wouldn't do that. That's kind of mean. That's like me walking up to you and slashing you just so I can feel your blood.
Okay.
What if you're pruning
I don't like to do that.
or a tree falls after a storm?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Plenty of times
I
where it
just
would happen.
absolutely, yeah. I don't like to say, hey, you know what? I need your blood. I'm just gonna suck you dry, because that's just mean to the plant. But yeah, if a branch came down, or you were trimming your branches, whatever you needed to do anyway, and you saw that it made the sap, it made that resin log, you don't want to take all of it, because it's like you picking a scab off of your body. You want to leave a little bit, but they tend to make like a lot. This is a big glob, so you could take the outer chunks of globs, and you have to basically melt that down in like a double boiler. So you melt that down with some beeswax and make a wonderful salve for healing your body. So that is. Did you have a question?
He wanted to know what this is. He's always
where did you
asking
find
me.
it? Where did you find it? Where'd you find it? Where'd you find it? Where?
He's already checked out everything.
Ay, ay, ay. That means there's a patch of it, isn't it? What is it? It's mugwort. I know. You're gonna know in a
We're gonna find out.
That is a crap one over here. In this way. Yeah. Well, at least they're cutting it back. This is mugwort. Yeah, this is mugwort. This is actually one of my favorite herbs. It's just super, super highly, highly invasive. Like insanely invasive. Good luck, you're never gonna kill it. But if you, so mugwort is Artemisia vulgaris. You can have it back. Did you smell it? Rub your fingers on that and smell your fingers, or rub the plant and smell it. That is one of my favorite smells ever in the world. You're pick some more of it. Go for it. You're not going to hurt that plant. Mugwort is an aromatic bitter herb. Personally, my favorite thing to do with it, if you guys don't know me, I'm an incense crafter. I make incense. My favorite thing to do with mugwort is burn it as incense. Dry it up, crumble it up, and burn it. And like, there is nothing like burning some mugwort while you're standing barefoot on the ground in your backyard. It's so relaxing. It relaxes your body, it relaxes your mind, it helps, the energy's flowing from the earth and all that into your body, and it's very, very nice. It's a really relaxing scent. It's also protective. It also, if you burn it right before bed, or if you were to drink a tea of it before bed, or smoke it right before bed, you have lucid dreams. It makes your dreams very wild and crazy. So there's that. It's the dream herb. You can try sleeping with it under your pillow, but it doesn't work as well. Trust me, I've tried. And also, because it's a bitter herb, excuse me, so in the early spring when it first comes up and it's like really tiny, it's edible, and it doesn't taste bad actually. It's a pretty interesting flavor. It's hard to describe, but it is an interesting flavor to add to things. But once it gets to be like 2-3 inches tall, it gets really, really bitter. Like right now, if you taste some, you can taste it. It's not going to hurt you by any means, but it's very, very bitter. So normally I would either tincture it to work with it as like base and emmenagogue, which is going to start your period if you're a woman. If you don't want that, then don't take it. But it helps, yeah, start menses. It also a bitter. So remember how I said dandelion roots are bitter? If you dig up some fresh dandelion roots and get the bitter, see, I told you it's bitter. Yeah, when it's really baby and it just comes up in spring, it's actually not bad. But right now it tastes terrible. But so you would take some mugwort. You could take some mugwort or wormwood and dandelion root, and I would take probably some orange peel. So all of those three things together, mix that into a bottle and put some vodka over it and let it sit for a few weeks. And when you strain that out, that is called an aromatic bitter, which is something, the bitter flavor actually stimulates digestion. So if you're gonna go somewhere, you're going to a wedding, or you're gonna go have a big meal somewhere at some big party, and you know you're gonna be all bloated and feel like crap because you ate too much, take the bitters with you. Take some before you start eating. And what it does is it stimulates bile production. It stimulates your digestive juices to get flowing, and it helps your body, it preps your body for digesting a lot of stuff. So that's what bitters were used for. Like, if you think about it, you know how, I don't know if anybody does this anymore, but you used to eat a salad before you ate your meal. You have the salad first, and then you eat the big meal. Oh. The reason for that is because the greens in the salad are bitter. Or they used to be anyway. They're not anymore because of people, but they used to be bitter greens that you would eat your salad, get your bitter greens into your body, start your digestive juices flowing, and it would basically allow you to eat more of the big, heavy, fatty stuff. So that's, you know, a trick for medieval feasting. So there's that. What else have we got? Kinds of sumac. One is white sumac, which is that's a red. You can eat that. Yeah. Just make sure it wasn't touching poison ivy, or you're gonna have a bad time. But anyway,
He doesn't catch it.
oh, you lucky. I can't swear. I'm sorry. Staghorn sumac. It gets these, like, that's not going to have anything because it's a baby, but the big trees, you'll start seeing them along the roadsides and highways. They get the big red cone on them. Yeah, those are a bunch of little tiny berries, and they're like a nice tart, sweet, super duper high in vitamin C. They make a really nice tea. And they're also very cooling herbs, so you can make a tea with them, and they'll help cool your body down in the heat of summer. The other kind of sumac is the one with the white berries, and that's the poison sumac. Don't touch it.
Not bad. Yeah.
You don't want to eat the stalk.
You can eat the whole red clover. Red clover is good for you.
We just started passing it around. It's actually pretty tasty.
It is tasty, I know.
Now, are those just rose bushes? They look pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Rosa multiflora. This is insanely invasive as well. So here's another little tidbit about me when I'm foraging. I'll tell you right now, probably 60 to 80% of everything I forage is highly invasive crap that you don't want in your yard anyway. But lucky for us, most of that crap is edible. So, oh, you got a Queen Anne's lace there. One little tiny Queen Anne's lace, Stachys carota. That is a wild carrot. So that it is wild carrot. You can eat the root as a carrot. You can eat the greens technically. It gets these big tall flowers, the white round flowers. I probably got pictures or something I can show you.
They're white and the stalk's purple. You don't touch it, right?
If the stalk has purple dots on it, it's hemlock. That is Queen Anne's. That's definitely Queen Anne's.
Hemlock's much taller though, right?
Hemlock's a lot. Yeah, hemlock gets really tall. Queen Anne's lace usually only gets like maybe this high. Like 4 feet.
I just want to see that for a
But
minute.
the flowers are also edible, and I make a nice jelly with the flowers. So just that leaf. It looks like carrot leaves because it is a carrot. So that I'm not going to step on the poison ivy to show you, but that stuff right there with the lighter leaves, the small leaves, that's a barberry, which has little red berries on it. And those berries are edible. This is Rosa multiflora, which is a rose. It's wild rose bushes, Rosa multiflora, super duper invasive. Again, it's got these clusters of white flowers on them. They just finished, like within the last couple of weeks.
They smell really good,
They
right?
smell amazing. Yeah, they're roses. All roses are edible. So all the rose family are edible. The petals are edible. I made a hydrosol with some of them.
That's what she wanted. She doesn't catch poison ivy. Get what she was talking
Oh,
about.
you don't have to. It's okay. Just that plant right there is barberry. You don't want to touch it. It's full of pickers. It's got long thorns on it. But just like so the multiflora, the next thing you're going to find with the Rosa multiflora is the rose hips. These teeny weeny itty bitty little rose hips, like clusters of them. And they're pretty, and you can make tea with them because they're like insanely high in vitamin C, and they taste pretty good. But because it's multiflora, they're teeny weeny rose hips. Don't bother trying to make anything other than tea with them. These seeds are covered in little hairs, which if you eat the hairs, it's going to really, it's basically itching powder. It's gonna get stuck in your throat and it's gonna be really crappy. But if you leave them whole and harvest them and dry them whole, you can just add them to teas and stuff, and they'll like leach out the reddish color and the vitamin C into your tea. So there's that. Do you have something else over here? More freaking bittersweet. Ugh. This is soaked wet now. You can make jelly with pine cones, if you didn't know that. When they're still green, there's a couple of things you can make with pine cones. Jams, jellies, there's like a liqueur you can make with those. I can't think of the name of it right now because I haven't done it myself, but there's a lot of, if you look up green pine cones recipes, you'll see a lot of those. Oh, this is just a PSA right here. You see this? With the 5 leaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Virginia creeper. That is not, so poison ivy, Virginia creeper. You see the difference? Just so you know what you got. Is that, that could be herb Robert. How big was it? Right over, oh, okay. Herb Robert or Cranesville, which is also medicinal. It gets these little pink flowers on it. Yeah, that's what, I think so. Yeah. That's what I said. I think that's Herb Robert, isn't it? Oh shit, maybe it's a ranunculus. You know what? This is why Amelia has a plant ID app on her phone.
What app do you use?
I have Leaf Snap on my phone. Like, I'm actually pretty darn good at this without the Leaf Snap, but sometimes I want to double check and make sure. This is either a ranunculus or it's Herb Robert. I'm not, we'll find out in a second.
Sumac?
I don't know, there's little white stuff on it, so I'm not sure.
Let's go. 'Cause it looks like it could. Yeah, Cranesville's got the rounder leaves. Shut up, ads. I don't want to hear you. No way. That's huge. Are you kidding me? I was wrong. Apparently, it's a gigantic musk mallow. Like, I've never seen the leaves this big. Okay, so it's a mallow. I was incorrect. That's why I have a plant ID app. I'm sorry.
Now, when you were talking about that, getting the red stuff, that's this on, oh, I'm not trying to get you wet. That's that flowering stuff there. I can't quite reach.
Let's see.
That would turn red.
I think so, actually. That looks like a sumac.
That's
that's
right
a
here.
sumac. Those are gonna, they're the
That's the
flowers,
one.
so that's gonna turn into the berries, I think.
That's,
There's male
that's
and there's
very
female.
mature. It's way up there.
Oh, wow.
It's
Oh, yeah.
It's this one right here. This trunk.
Yeah, yeah. Oh boy, that's big. Okay.
That's big.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna have berries in it. You come back.
That's a little one.
Yeah.
I think. Is that poison
Yeah.
ivy? No,
Yeah,
that's
that's
that.
This right here, this is St. John's wort. This is Hypericum perforatum. Absolutely amazing, amazing plant. This is definitely one of my favorites.
What is it called?
St. John's wort.
Oh, that
So
is?
This is St. John's wort, yes. You know it's, let me see if it'll work, because it's been raining, I'm not sure if it will. If you rub the leaf, yeah, it worked, see? Do you see how it's turning red?
red.
Turning my hand red? Yeah, and it turned red. That's the medicinal parts in there. The flowers are what you would want to pick, and this is the only thing that I will make an infused oil of with fresh flowers. Everything else you need to have dried, but St. John's wort only works when they're fresh. You can make a tincture, you can make it as a tea. It's really not as strong as a tea. Like a lot of people will say, oh, I'm gonna take St. John's wort tea for my depression, and it doesn't work. Because St. John's wort does help with certain types of depression or depressive disorder, but not all of them. It's not a panacea for depression, so don't listen to anything you see on the internet about that. It does help specifically with seasonal affective disorder. Do you guys, anybody know what that is?
February.
SAD? Basically, yeah. When you're really sad because you're not getting enough vitamin D from the sun and the sun is gone, yeah, it does help with that specifically. So seasonal affective disorder. But my favorite thing to do with St. John's wort is to make an infused oil with it, because the oil eventually turns red too. The oil topically helps heal. It helps heal wounds. It helps improve the appearance of scar tissue. But the big deal with it is it helps heal nerve damage. So if you've got nerve issues, nerve damage, neuropathy, anything like that, that is St. John's wort oil is your big. It's awesome.
Now, when you make an oil, what do you do? Like, I know tinctures, we soak stuff in vodka.
It does. It's not always vodka. Sometimes it's other alcohols too.
Okay.
So the oil, the basic idea for St. John's wort oil, you would want to harvest the flowers fresh and just stick them in a jar and cover them with the olive oil or whatever oil you're using for your carrier, because you want to be doing that with the fresh flowers. Yeah. Otherwise, everything has to be pretty well dried, and I do have a specific method of teaching it, but the basic thing is put the dried herbs in the jar after they've been crushed up and cover with olive oil and let it sit for 4 to 6 weeks usually, depending on the herb, depending on a lot of stuff. This is why I teach it. I have a class. If anybody ever wants to learn herbalism, I actually teach. I have an online class that you can take, like self-paced online class. So there's that. Let's see. So St. John's wort. Cherry. Are we a cherry? I think we're a cherry. Hello. We are a cherry. Yep. This is a black cherry. This is a wild black cherry. I can't for the life of me think of the Latin name. I'm sorry. I missed something. I don't remember.
So the berries have been eaten now.
This is like one last cherry. Yeah, something ate all the cherries off, which is interesting because they're not even close to ripe. They're delicious when they're ripe. You can't eat the seeds, just like a cultivated cherry. You don't want to eat the seed because the seeds have cyanide in them. But these have like all these little long things, usually have little flower clusters around them. Every flower turns into a little tiny cherry. They get to be like black cherries. So this is a wild black cherry. If you don't catch it with the fruit, but you still recognize it, you can recognize the bark. It's a dark bark with the horizontal striations on it. And these are definitely cherry leaves. So wild cherry bark is, let's see, you know how Mary Poppins says you need a spoonful of sugar to get the medicine to go down? To make the medicine go down?
Yeah.
It's because wild cherry bark tastes like crap.
It's good for cough.
This
isn't
is
it?
the coughing, yeah. You make cough syrup with wild cherry bark. And it's fantastic. It works really, really well. I usually make my cherry bark cough syrup with honey because it makes it taste better. It's an interesting flavor, I'll tell you that. But people have been making wild cherry bark cough syrup for hundreds and hundreds of years. That is an old, like, Native American remedy, and I think there's cherry bark in Europe too. But this is the American version of it. So that you would want to harvest. I would like. I always ask permission from the trees, but you just cut like a branch off and then strip the bark off of that branch. You don't ever want to just like cut a whole tree down or strip bark off the trunk. Don't ever do that because you'll kill the tree. But just cut a branch and strip stuff from that branch, a little bit at a time. No, that's cinquefoil. Cinquefoil is used. It's everywhere, and this is hawkweed. So this stuff is edible, but not good. Are you in a tree? Is there a kid in a tree? Yeah. Donovan, we're listening to her.
Okay, he's right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Lots of stuff, yeah. I'm also, by the way, I'm an herbalist. I do consultations. If you guys have any health issues, I actually am pretty darn good at what I do. I'm not a doctor, I'm an herbalist. So I'm not going to tell you I'm going to cure this or that or anything, but I know a lot about the human body. I actually specialize in digestive issues. So if you have any problems, I do consultations.
Yeah, here, let me see if
Do I have signal here? Can I get to my video? Oh, actually, I can show you guys my normal video.
But realistically, I wait for this flower. The flowers are medicinal. You could probably pick this for the root too if you really needed it. But honestly, I prefer to pick leaves leaves when they're at this stage. And you don't pick them all, obviously. You don't pick the whole thing up, but the middle leaves. So that's your
So I usually harvest the leaves from the first year mullein, and at the beginning of the second year sometimes. The leaves are extremely helpful at dealing with dry cough. So if you've got a dry cough, or if you have COPD, something like that, you can take it on a regular basis. You can make tea or tincture, or you can smoke it. And I don't smoke anything, but I did, just for the sake of being an herbalist, try smoking mullein, because everybody says, oh, it'll clear your lungs, it'll clear your lungs. And I was like, there's no way smoking something is going to clear your lungs out. And believe it or not, it works.
Really?
You inhale it, and then you immediately have one cough to get the actual smoke out, and all of a sudden you can breathe better. It's the weirdest freaking thing. But mullein is, yeah, if I make a smoking blend for somebody, it always has mullein in it, because it helps clear your lungs out. It's still not good to be smoking anything, but if you were going to smoke something, mullein is like, and I've been told it's not delicious. I'm like, I don't do it for the delicious. But at any rate, so the leaves are that. When you get the flower stalk up, the flowers themselves, I make an infused oil, sometimes a tincture, but the oil tends to be something I would go for more often, and that is, especially with children, you get, if you've got kids or or grandkids or anybody that has ear infections, frequently has ear infections, or any inner ear problems, like their ears hurt, you can put a few drops of that oil into their ear. I just let them, lay down on your side, put a few drops of oil in your ear, let them lay there for a minute or two, and then sit up, maybe put a piece of cotton ball in the ear. And that it actually, within a couple of days, it clears the ear infection out. So you can do that with mullein. Mullein flower and garlic is stronger. Like the two of those infused in oil is a little stronger than just mullein, but I know the mullein absolutely helps. And mullein root, if you were to dig that up, like between the first and second ear, the mullein root is specific for lower back pain. So you'd want to tincture that or make a decoction of that where you're simmering it on the stove. So that's mullein, and I think at this
What's
point,
the flower look like?
the flower is a small yellow flower. Hang on. Just did one like not 2 days ago. Where's my mullein flower? Come on.
has decided
That's
to
mullein.
start blossoming. That's a mullein.
It's like a big
It's a mullein flower.
it's like a tall
I
stalk.
remember
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Normally I make it in
Get them growing in my yard.
Yep.
I usually pull them because they're broadleaf weeds.
They're,
They are broadleaf leaf.
and the other thing that you can always do with mullein leaves is you can use them as toilet paper. But you have to be careful because some people are sensitive. Some people are sensitive to the hairy parts on the leaves. Like if you make a tea with it, I say be careful. You can pour it through a coffee filter just to be safe. Rub the leaf like on, the soft part of here before you rub it on your butthole, because then if it's gonna bother you, it'll bother you here instead of there. So, but I mean, I can play with mullein and it doesn't bother me. So that's the end of that, I think.
Well, Amelia, I wanted to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Back in the town hall downstairs, Amelia has business cards. So please feel free to grab a business card because I think, we didn't even touch the iceberg in this very small section.
Oh, no, not even close.
And I just want to repeat a couple things that you said. She will come out to your home for a consult because it would be helpful for you to know what's growing on your own, in your own yard versus someone else's yard. And you certainly can offer other services as well. So you can hop inside and grab a business card. You can certainly find the link on the Ag Commission Facebook page. We linked your farm.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
So you can certainly click that clickable link and it will take you to
Yeah.
Amelia's farm page so that you can find out more. So if you don't want to run inside and grab a business card, but we thank you. This has been fascinating.
You're welcome.
Absolutely
Thank you.
fascinating.
I'm also, I don't know if anybody here does TikTok, but I'm on TikTok, so I know that most people don't.
My kid
around here.
does TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm like TikTok famous, so that's where.
Does
most
anybody
of my
have any
business
quick
comes
questions for Amelia before we?
Do you ever do weekends for your?
from. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Most people only have weekends, so yeah, I work on weekends a lot, but that's okay. I just try to only do like one foraging walk a day just because my voice starts to go after a while. Talk, 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 talk. I do live on TikTok all the time, and I'm like, I actually I made a throat spray the other day. Sage, if anybody grows sage, by the way, sage tea is helpful for a sore throat.
I love sage.
So just FYI. It also, sage as a tea or a tincture is a nervine, so it calms you down, believe it or not.
In addition to, do you ever do classes on how to actually make a tincture?
I have tried to do in-person classes on how to do herbal medicine making, and every single time I try, people say, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it, and then they never sign up. So I'm kind of at a point where I'm giving up because every time it's been like a total waste of time. Like a lot of people tell me they're interested, but nobody has the same day that they want to nail down. You get what I mean? As much as I would love to teach an in-person class doing that, it just hasn't worked out. I do, one of the things I'll do for a foraging walk, if I'm doing a private walk, or if you guys get a group of people together and you want to go to like the local park or something and do that, or your yard, or if somebody's got 5 acres, we want to walk around with 10 people in your 5-acre yard, I can also do, I offer a demonstration. So we can find stuff to eat and make something to eat, and we all eat it together. We all cook it or make it and eat it together. And then on top of that, we do usually like a tincture making demonstration, just because tinctures are a faster thing to make. It's with oils, I would have to most of the time dry them, and it's kind of a pain in the butt depending on the time of the year. But again, I also have that, if you want to get into, if anybody wants to be on my mailing list, I'll take your email. We can walk back. Tell me your email while we're walking back, and we'll